Hey everybody, welcome back to Terps Esports. Live from College Park, my name is Lily.
And my name is Bree. We are super excited to have you guys back tonight for an awesome match from our co-ed premier team.
Tonight, the Terps are facing off against Michigan State in the BEC tournament. Last week, we saw the Terps have an epic series against Ohio State, with the Terps ultimately winning after a tight 3 games. The Terps are currently 3-1 in the BEC, which is a really good record to start out with. But let's hope they can keep it going in tonight's match.
Before we jump into the game, let's start with the rules of your typical Valorant match. If you've never played the game before, Valorant is an objective-based FPS game where teams of 5 players compete in 2 12-round cycles against each other. The main objectives of the game is to plant the spike, defend the spike, manage economies, and create strategic plans to outsmart your opponent and take the win.
All right, well, our players are eagerly waiting to jump into the action, so let's move on to the stats portion of our pre-show, shall we?
So it's time for us to introduce you the members of a team and take a look at their stats from this season. So make sure to give everyone a warm welcome as we break down the roster and show you what they're bringing to the table tonight.
All right, starting off strong, we have Yex as our duelist. His job is to make space for the rest of the team as they follow in right behind him to maintain control of the site. He comes into this match with an ACS of 252, an ADR of 158, and a KD of 1.33. And hey, fun fact, Yex actually holds the highest number in each of those stats of his whole team.
Now we have ZK1 as the team's controller. He's the one setting the pace, sniffing out rotations, and dropping utility exactly where it needs to be. He's also the team's IGL, calling the shots and staying composed. He's the reason why the team is so grounded. He's coming in with an ACS of 155, an ADR of 107, and a KD of .70.
Next up is Sind as our initiator. He plays a big role in the team's success during site executions on attack, as well as the retake efforts on the defense. He's got an ACS of 206, an ADR of 133, and a KD of 1.09. He is particularly strong on Sova, which we saw clearly in last week's series.
Next, we have the team's flex player, Jino. He's been playing for Premier for a while now, so this isn't his first rodeo. His role is to be versatile and adaptable to any role for the sake of his team. This requires a lot of skill and coordination, but Jino's got it on lock. He's got an ACS of 201, an ADR of 130, and a KD of 1.2.
Now, to close things out, we have Moose as the team's sentinel. He's got an ACS of 217, which is really high for a sentinel, an ADR of 141, and a KD of 1.23. And he is really good about being patient on sites throughout the round, so he's available in the late round stages if need be. And that's something that we were able to see a lot of actually in last week's match against Ohio State, particularly when he was on Viper. So we're going to be welcoming Moose into the studio right about now. Hi Moose, welcome in.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. So, as your team advances in the BEC conference, what are some lessons that you all are carrying with you from your play versus run?
One of our main focuses after the play VS was to play as a team together more and have more chemistry and comms going. So that's been our main focus.
And what are some specific things that the team is focusing on in this particular match? And what are you focusing on as an individual going into tonight's match?
As a team, we're trying to keep our energy up and just keep calming throughout the entire game. And I am trying to just stay present and do my job on the lurk.
Yeah, that's all you can do as a sentinel. And as part of this conference, there's sights of a LAN on the horizon. And how does that prospect make you feel as someone who's never been to a LAN under the Terps Esports name?
I am extremely excited. I think it would be probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. And I really hope it's a great experience.
Where's your dream LAN location?
I actually don't have a dream location. I've heard maybe somewhere in Chicago would be would be good.
For sure. And just to close things out with Thanksgiving on the horizon, I want to ask, what is something you appreciate about each of your teammates?
I appreciate Alex's wisdom as a leader on this team. I appreciate Rajul's advice and like his ability to just talk about Valorant with me all day. Greg's professionalism is what I'm thankful for. And Justin's humor, I think, is one of the best things I've seen.
That's very nice of you. I'm sure they appreciate you just as much. Well, thanks so much for joining us for a quick little pre-show, and best of luck in tonight's match.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Teddy Zielkowski. I am a 2022 graduate at the University of Maryland with a degree of Bachelor's of Landscape Architecture, and right now I am a Terps Rocket League coach. Yeah, I think one of the biggest factors of why they invited me to be the coach for the Rocket League team was that I played a lot, and I was actually like the Rocket League president of the club. I played for the collegiate team before Terps Esports was a program. So I was a huge person in this community for Rocket League, so they really wanted someone who was kind of like a cornerstone that built this community to come back and be the coach. The most important thing about my role would be just getting to know all the different players on the team. Everyone has different lifestyles, they have different play styles, so you really got to just get to know every single person so that you can help kind of connect them all together so they can play well on and off the pitch. My favorite part would just be seeing their improvements throughout the entire season. I mean, you start out and everyone's a bit awkward, everyone's kind of shy as well, and I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray, so it's really fun just seeing, and they're also just getting better at the game too, so we're excited just to see them play better as well. I like the program, I like the direction it's going. There's obviously so much more work to do and figuring everything out, but I really like the direction we're going, and I think just the more time that we're working to grow the program, the more we're going to learn how to just be better as a program. I think one of the things that I really want to keep improving upon for like Terps Esports is just building a bigger community for all the games. So the Rocket League community has a really big community over in the club side. So it was really nice to see more people just like bonding together. People are just, instead of just seeing as like practices as being like a forced mandatory thing, people are like reaching out to each other and like they really want to play proactively with each other, and they're becoming friends as well. So it's not even like a team and we're just teammates and that's it, but it's more like we're staying up till like 2-3 a.m. playing because we're having fun playing, and that's also helping them get better as well. So it like increases their like chemistry together and like just playing together as well, and they can handle losses better when they're a team and they're friends. So that's like a really good part about just building this community. I think one of the biggest things is just creating like a welcoming space for like beginners, and just like having it just be really welcoming, all skill levels included. That's something that we can try and do, and just create more diversity in the esports scene, just have more opportunities for other people to come, and maybe they're prodigies at a certain game or something. So when more people are playing the game and just creating more noise, then it's awesome for more people to just keep coming. It's almost like a trend. And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are about to head into this best of 3. It's classic BEC Valorant on a Thursday night. You know the drill by now. But we are going to be heading onto Abyss, I believe, right?
Abyss. Very big map, lots of holes in Abyss, lots of places to fall off of. But honestly, with our team comp going on so far, I think we should be just fine on this map. I'm sure that the Premier team has done a lot of scrimmaging on this map, and with their roles and who they choose to be also plays a big role in it. And I think that they are very, very prepared for tonight.
And we just want to run through our stats one more time just to make sure you guys have a good look at where each of these players stand before heading into tonight's match. So starting off, I think we want to highlight Yex, who is our duelist, who, like I mentioned, has the highest of each of the stats that we report here, ACS, ADR, and KD. He tops his team in each of those categories. And that is an impressive number to have, particularly as someone who's been in the game for a long time. He's not getting washed. He's just as good as he was as when he joined this team as a freshman. And here he is having some duelist numbers and rightfully so acting like a duelist.
I was going to say very strong numbers for a duelist, and that just shows that you can genuinely rely on Yexus to know, hit his shots and entry on the site with with ease and everything. With ZK1 being our controller, he has new numbers. He is a new addition to this roster, but he has been, a very supplemental role for our team. And considering that he usually played, I believe, duelist a little bit in the beginning of the season here, his numbers are very high. So even though this is his stats for his controller role, does not mean that he cannot get it down. So
for sure, the first time we saw him in the studio, he was on Yoru, and then he kind of pivoted and is now as our controller. And like you said, his stats do look different, but he is the same player, and he manages to clutch up in the scenarios where the team really needs him and his controller utility. Now we have Sin as our initiator, who is also a very familiar face, has been on the team for a very long time. Last week, we saw him mostly on Sova, and he really played his utility really well, particularly when it came to his Sova ultimates. He always had them when the team needed them in those post-plant scenarios, in those long angles where you just want to play safe behind a wall somewhere. So super important piece to this roster.
Yeah, and last but not least, we do have Jinho here as our team's flex player. I know these stats are looking just as good, but as a flex player, it takes a lot of skill. I know the last time I was in the studio, we were talking about his favorite agents to play, and I know outside of, playing for the team, he likes to play a lot of chamber. So, if he ever gets the chance to do a little chamber pick, he is just going to have fun with it, and you will always be able to rely on him to just hit those shots.
All right, we can't forget Moose, our team Sentinel. He has a really high ACS for a Sentinel, and he particularly likes to play Viper and Cypher, and he has really good setups on Cypher, but I like more so when he plays Viper, and he has so much patience, and he doesn't over-rotate, and it really pays off in the later stages of each round.
Yeah, so I honestly think this setup so far is pretty good. The Terps are on the defending side here, and our picks are just looking amazing so far.
Early take in from Michigan State, gonna take down Yex and force the Terps to sit quietly on the other side of the smoke as the classic kills are coming through. ZK1 manages to pick one off and has to hide while the rest come gunning down for him. Spike being planted. ZK1 hops on top and manages to pull off a right click and maybe another one, not quite. Sin gets a pick though, as him and Jinho are trying to manage up a retake as Spike finally is about to be planted here.
What a strong play from ZK1 there. He was taking the initiative for his team and was able to, take all those shots. But unfortunately, Sin losing that round for us. But not much you could really do about that when the rest of your team is just falling like flies. I mean, Michigan had a lot of utility on that B site early off. And like you said, a lot of motion and a lot of, falls were happening. And even still, I don't think it just was a good round to finish off of, and I don't think we had a chance to even get out alive from that round.
Yeah, nearly an ace from the Yoru on Michigan State, so great round for them early on.
Yeah, and I'm seeing here that Yoru on Michigan's side has already bought an Outlaw, so I think think that could tell us how this is going to go for the incoming round, as the rest of Michigan is just pushing onto B side.
Yeah, and it's a pretty much undefended B site, like you were saying, with the exception of a Moose, and with a Classic and a Dream manages to get the head dig, but that is not going to be enough to find the pick. Now the Terps are completely in the wrong position here, and they're going to have to play retake.
Yeah, and with these guns, keep in mind, we did lose the first round, so the Terps have no choice but to use just pistols, while Michigan is obviously going to bonus off of that and have all of this heavy guns to use. And even with no noise happening, it's just hard for the Terps to kind of sneak up and flank behind them, as the rest of Michigan is just holding this down with, you know, with ease. Their eyes are on the prize and nobody's really moving from them. They're just kind of waiting to see what the Terps will do in order to retake this site. And it's just a slow waiting game as the bomb is slowly ticking away.
Yeah, the Terps have no sense of urgency. The bomb is almost done, and they have to worry about a flank right behind them. Takes down Yex, and that is all it will be for now. But the fight is not over in mid. Terps trying to stay alive or just give up their guns for economy's sake. But 2 rounds that have not really shined here for the Terps.
I will say, though, I think that was their best bet. I honestly, you know, you're either going to die to the spike or you're going to die to the enemies. And either way, you are going to get a little bit of economy. You know, you're going to get your economy back up just a bit. So, you know, I think that was a smart play from the Terps. But I will say they did end up taking a little too long, long enough that Michigan ended up just flanking behind them. And it wasn't a pretty sight to see. But now that our economy is much better, we are actually able to take this fight with better and heavier guns.
Early A presence being shown from both sides. Actually, scan comes through for Michigan State, going to sell out Sin's position. YXP aggressive, catches the whole team blinded, manages to only net 1 kill there, but damage has been done. In mid, though, it's another story, as ZK1 is the one to find that opening pick into mid. So a really strong start so far.
And that's exactly what you want to see from Yex as the team's duelist, you know, taking on those early fights. Even when you're on defense side, you know, you want to make sure that you're on your toes as a duelist and preventing these people from coming on to, you know, the site that you're defending. And considering that Michigan has already lost 2 of their players because of that, says a lot. And especially with this rotate, you know, the Terps are staying planted, but even still, it's still looking like a fast push coming in from Michigan.
Yeah, the Terps were as patient as they could be, but they didn't manage to maintain the space of this B side at all. Plant comes down. Now the Terps have to defuse this spike. ZK1 less than favorable HP is going to work alongside the rest of his teammates. They're all grouped here together. No one is flanking, but will Michigan State have that read? Some utility being invested on the retake initially. Peek comes through from both sides. No picks quite yet. Flash comes through for the Omen on the other side. Is enough to take down Jinho. The rest of the players on the other side of this box, right near the spike. Trades come through on either side. The Terps come out on top with Moose and Sin fighting the last 2 closing picks to finally put the Terps on the board here.
I really like that play. They kind of did a little bit of a split here, coming in from the side and coming down from heaven. And to be honest, I was a little nervous there, trying to see how they were going to go ahead and execute this, considering Michigan was kind of just grouped up on top of that spike. And unfortunately, it did not work out in their favor, and they ended up losing that round. And honestly, playing it slowly but surely is what I've been noticing here from the Terps, at least for these last 2 rounds, and it's been working for them, oddly working for them.
For sure, and that's the first time it seemed to really work out for them. They managed to hold on to at least 2 of their guns by the rest, and maybe that's enough to flip the scoreline here for UMD. So some early bullets being thrown there on that A site, but not as much of aggression as we did see in the previous round. Looks like Michigan State's taking more of a conservative approach here, waiting for UMD to show their cards before they commit.
Yeah, and like I said, the slowly but surely is just kind of the name of the game now. You know, UMD is not being impatient. They are not peeking out. They are just waiting for Michigan to make presence and kind of just make some noise. And that's really what you want to do as, you know, on the defense side. You don't want to give up your sight so fast by being impatient and just switching on to that site. And like I said, ZK1 just holding down his angles, you know, was able to catch one of them off guard. And that's what you want to see as you're defending.
And Michigan State pushing in. Moose catches 2 of them. The numbers are just too much, and Moose gets overwhelmed there. And now only 3 Terps alive here as Michigan State has a full grasp on this B site. And the remaining Terps are spread out. Unlike the last round, early some contact there being made. Catches Sin, but Yex is the one actually who comes in late on the flank, who's able to get that first pick in the face of this retake that's going to have to happen. Uses a lot of that your utility to try and catch some information about where these Spartans are oriented right now. A trade comes through for either side. Bomb is still taking down. The Terps have got to act quickly. Jinho knows where the jet is looking that way, tries to get that pick, does so, has to turn around quickly. He's the only Terp left alive, uses the Waylay utility. Time is beyond repair at this point, though, and he may just have to save that Phantom.
And that's what just happens. And honestly, I liked what they had going on for that round. You know, I liked how Yexus was just slowly making his way up to that flank, up through mid, while the rest of his team was just hanging out in their CT, waiting for Michigan to actually make a move on to B site. But because of that, we ended up losing our Terps in the process. But leave it to Jinho to at least get, you know, some picks and be on Waylay, by the way. I don't think I've quite seen Jinho on Waylay, but I can already tell, you know, with the way he's using his recalls, he's moving fast. He's very good at it. And even still, he's able to get out of those fights. But I think we got to pick up the pace just a little bit for the Terps. I mean, again, slowly but surely this whole few rounds, but I think we have to pick it up and kind of read Michigan better. I mean, look at our oh, it looks like we lost connection there. Not quite sure from whose side. I'm assuming it might be ours. Oh,
Okay, we're back.
we're back. We are back, but even still, now the Terps have to really figure it out and just stand their grounds on, you know, defending this way, because look at what they're doing now.
And honestly, Bomb is already down, and the Terps are not having any success regaining any of the ground that they have already lost. Only Moose here alongside DK1, who actually gets picked off. So just Moose, a Sheriff, and a Dream. Flawless round for Michigan State.
That was, we went back into the game, and 4 of the Terps were already on flank while the bomb was ticking down. Like I said, this slowly but surely stuff has to start picking up, because I feel like we're losing our opportunities to actually get some picks onto site before we actually end up having somebody, you know, catch them off guard on that flank. But it was our whole team, and only one person was on site, unfortunately, and it did not work for our favor. Yex is saying enough is enough by buying an operator here, and don't forget, he is a duelist, so I'm banking on him to at least get a few shots here, especially since he is positioned on this B site, it looks like.
Yeah, so is Moose, actually. The 2 of them together there. Are they going to be able to stop this push from coming through? Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, as the jet already dashed way onto the site, took up so much space, looking very reminiscent of the previous rounds, as Jinho might be able to catch this Vice completely off guard, and that's exactly what happens, as Yex is caught with a close op engagement and dies, losing that operator and his teammate Sind. Meanwhile, Moose able to make that Vandal work for him, gets a pick, but the rest of the team is having a hard time staying alive, and here we are again. Jinho 1v2 tries to dance around these remaining attackers, peeks, and is double spotted by 2 of Michigan State's players there. These have been a tough couple of rounds.
But look at the way Jinho just kind of sprung into action there. I love the way he's utilizing all of this Waylay utility, but it leaves him, you know, it kind of leaves him best for last in a way, but it's just really just an unfortunate way that the round ended up being. I mean, if you ask me, I think Yexus would have been able to get a few op picks there, but he was just smoked off. Some Vice utility was thrown onto heaven, and it just wasn't in his favor, and we didn't get to see him, you know, spring into action. So now the Terps are just forced to save for this round. And this time, with those kinds of guns, you kind of just have to push on and see if you can grab some picks.
Oh, look at this. Really aggressive from Yex and Moose. And they back off in the nick of time to take their kill and just be happy with it. The fight is not over on this B site. We've seen this jet be able to take so much space so quickly. Now they're trapped inside a smoke, though. So are they going to be able to do the same? Looks like they're creeping through. Moose not going to have any of it. Takes takes down the Omen. Jet still alive and still causing problems, not until Sin is able to nullify that threat. But this round still ticking down here. Terps numbers up slightly, but the HP is looking kind of dire there for Sin. Doesn't matter. You have Jinho getting all these picks on the flank. Use that way utility to get out in the nick of time. Terps have spike control, but they won't need to keep it that way with Jinho getting that last pick there. Finally helping the Terps scoreline look a little bit better here at 2-5.
And an amazing thrifty. And for those who don't know, if you don't play Valorant, a thrifty is basically, you know, if you win a round with low economy. Basically that. If you don't spend as much money on your economy, and if you're saving basically, and you win the round, you get a thrifty. And the Terps executed that just flawlessly. And by the way, with just Sheriffs. And I like that they moved up main. I mean, honestly, if you were to just sit there and wait for them to push, knowing that they have such heavy guns, it would have been a round loss and a lot of players that we lost early on the round.
Oh, take a look at Jinho there. Didn't get any kills, but sure saw a whole lot of Michigan State attackers, and that's really valuable information that he's going to be able to send to the rest of his team. He actually dies pretty early here. Meanwhile, Michigan State is really making work of this A site. It doesn't matter though. ZK1 find himself a 3-piece, and he's managed to fight off Michigan State and keep A site in the hands of the Terps and spike control with it. ZK1, what a stellar moment for him.
And don't forget, ZK1 is the team's IGL, the in-game leader. So just knowing that he has the skill and has the brawn, even as a controller, and is able to calm to his team at the same time, says a lot about his skills in this game. And especially with this high-low peak that they have going on, Yexus is able to finish it off for that round. And what a beautifully executed round that was. And like you said, Lily, with Jinho, you know, sacrificing his life to take a little peek down A main to see who is there was worth it. It was a lot of information that he gave to his team, and he was able to calm that, and it set the Terps up for success. And ever since that happened, it looks like we're gonna get a lot of op picks. And like I said earlier, you know, Jinho has played Chamber a lot, and he loves Chamber, so I expect to see a lot with this operator use. And if he decides to pass it on to Yexus, is up to him, but even still, I know that this will be a great play for him.
Michigan State trying to make this A site work out for them, unlike the previous round. This time looks like they're being a little bit more aggressive now that they're not completely sold out by Jinho's Waylay. Ashley Yoru fell off the map, question mark. What's this, clone I think I got baited by? Anyway, Michigan State all the way on to this A site. The Terps forced to retake here. ZK1 trying to right click. It works out for him actually, alongside with Yex. Yex hunting for a second one, is gonna find it. Only down to one Michigan State attacker left, who's actually causing a lot of issues for the Terps here. Operator still in play for Jinho, and he's gonna use it to get that remaining player there.
And even if we are not as high on, you know, our score line, we are performing very well. And it's not even just individual players. The team itself is working with one another to make these wins and make these fights, you know, more favorable. And like I said, Jinho with that operator was not going to disappoint. And the fact that he finished that out flawlessly for our team was just absolutely amazing. And now that we've finally got around again, we have more money, so I'm wondering if he's going to end up keeping that op, maybe give it to Yexus a little bit in the round. Nope, he's going to keep it for himself, and I am okay with that. It's looking just as fine where he's positioned.
Yeah, he might actually get a peek or two to come his way, but Michigan State being really passive this round. Actually looks like on B site, really early rotation there from the Terps, and that might not be the play call because look, it looks like Michigan State is doubling back towards that direction.
Yeah, they started off with a default, it looked like. They're just waiting on their Omen to kind of calm to them on B site here. You know, they favored more towards A, but they do have that Vi slowly peeking up mid as per usual.
Jet knives initiated here for Michigan State. How are they going to use them? We will have to see. This jet has been so deadly for us Terps. Will it continue to be that way? Moose is about to be met with about approximately 5 of those Michigan State attackers as Jinho fires his first op shot and misses, but Moose trying to hit that kill and does so on the jet, nullifying those jet knives. Huge kill for the Terps as the retake continues to come into fruition here. They're trying to defuse the spike. Moose is caught caught on the bomb. His teammates are trying to recover for him, and they're able to do just that. Giggles all around. A bit of a silly end to that round, but it's all in good fun as we get to keep our operator and get that round win.
And honestly, it's not a Terps esports match if there wasn't a little bit of chaos going on there. Honestly, I was scared for Moose. That Jet had a Bucky along with their Jet knives, and you know how that goes. And Moose was just so close to that Jet that it could have ended very, very bad. And he tried to ninja defuse, but at what cost? And either way, we were able to keep that up. Again, Jinho holding on to it for dear life, and we ended up just winning. And now we're even on our scoreline, and it's causing Michigan to lose economy. They're on a little bit of an odd bye now.
Jinho still has that operator in hand, and he's getting very lucky with where he's positioning himself. This time he may just be in store for a push to come right his way, but he's got to watch out right behind him where Sin has somehow managed to get 3 picks with the Phantom all in a row, and Jinho just toys around there with the Omen. And the Terps look like a completely different team than what we saw in the first 4 rounds.
Talk about styling on them. Jinho, honestly, that was a little disrespectful, I will say. Getting that, a little bit of that shorty shot. Sin doing amazing right there. And wow, they're just having so much fun here in the studio. And you can just tell smiles across the board here. And it's just, you know, a good sight to see, especially Sin leading us very, very strong at the beginning of the round. Like, I just blinked and 3 and 4 of their players were already down on Michigan's site, and it's already looking pretty good for us.
Oh yeah, it's trying to take an epic fight to start off with, but look at Sin once again with the shock dart, taking down 2 apiece. Jinho with the shorty is just being an absolute menace. Meanwhile, Moose gets picked off as he's trying to flank, but the Terps have done a good enough job here at holding off Michigan State to force them right in the palm of ZK1, who finds 1, but not quite the second. Jinho has repositioned just in time, still has that operator, but only a little bit of HP. A wall bang, even with that Vandal, would do it for him. And hopefully the Terps can quietly win this round, as Jinho is just patiently waiting for a swing to come through. The Vice still has the spike, though, important to mention.
Yeah, and don't forget that he is a chamber player, so he can play this waiting game for however long he wants to. And yet again, winning the round for us with a flawless play there. He's not letting go of that shorty and op combo, I don't think. But now that we finally get to switch sides here, being on attack is going to look a little different for the Terps. I'm wondering if they're going to start, you know, full pushing. Are they going to start defaulting, maybe send, you know, somebody down mid? What are we expecting this time for the Terps? And we've seen how they played on attack before. This team is very fast and very blood hungry as a team, so winning this pistol round is very crucial for them, and we don't want a repeat of the last half, because it's really easy to lose rounds if you lose your first 2 or even your first pistol round, and it just doesn't work in your favor.
For sure, and that's kind of what we saw in the first half. Terps lost pistol, and obviously you lose around after because you're not buying, and then it can kind of become a snowball effect. Terps were managed to dig themselves out of that hole in the first half, but it's not always going to be that way. So these pistol rounds are really important, as this one starts off with a little bit of a jiggle peek in mid. Yax, I think, maybe spotted one of those Michigan State defenders there and has called for reinforcements, as Jinho is going to push up and take that close fight potentially. And he actually does swing, has a ghost in hand. So Jinho is definitely aware of where those Michigan State players are, and has actually opted to walk around them potentially, and actually is drawing a lot of attention on that flank, enough so to leave the Terps here to a pretty free B side, especially on the pistol, if they go about it quickly.
And don't forget, the Michigan's doing what the Terps are doing, and they're running for that flank. And it's, you know, they're closing in from heaven and through that flank. So the Terps have to think fast.
Yax, trapped around this Vice wall, is forced to fight for his life here, and Moose will be the one to save him. Not for long, though, as Moose still trying to avenge his teammates. The rest of his teammates are dropping, though, before they can even get on the site. Moose has managed to work completely around them, and ZK1 still trying to fight off these flank players. 2 Terps alive. They're pretty spread out here on different sides of this site, as Moose gets picked off. Jinho with a ghost in hand. will not be enough to quite do it here. And Michigan State, well, on that pistol, kind of like we saw in the first half, but hopefully it's not going to look like the same start as we saw in the first half.
It is starting to look like it now that you say it, but it's only with the buys so far, so it is too soon to speak, but it is a little hard to say because we already have an outlaw again from Michigan's Yoru yet again, and that is hard to come across. That is just one shot to the body, and especially on a pistol round where you don't have any shields, let alone any light shields, guns, or utilities. It's just kind of a thing where you just know you're not going to win that round, and it's hard to get a thrifty from a second pistol round, and you really want to make sure you win it, but it's just not looking like that.
And look at this fast V execute here for the Terps, although they're not quite able to keep their lives. Oh no, Jinho fell off the map. ZK1, Moose, both dying before they could even catch a glimpse of planting this bomb. Yex completely exposed once the smoke dissipated. It's a quick round loss there for UMD, and now that they've lost, that round where Michigan State's supposed to buy, here they are with somewhat of guns this time.
But it does end up working in their favor in a way, only because Michigan has no choice but to bonus. I mean, they could buy utilities, but if they end up buying a new gun, you're just wasting that gun that you saved from that last round. So either way, it doesn't work, and they're forced to work with what they had. And now that the Terps have heavy utility and heavy guns to work with, it's go time. And we can't waste an opportunity like this, especially when you finally have guns.
A go time it is, as Jinho's creeping up with an outlaw and does get picked off, and so does ZK1. This mid push has just looked the worst way you would possibly want it to end up for UMD. They've lost spike control in the process. Nothing has gone right for them. Moose trying to flip the script on that, but it finds a Yoru clone instead. So, bit of a quiet pause here for both sides.
Yeah, and it's a little unfortunate that they ended up giving that Vandal to this Jet on Michigan's side. That's not what you want to see, especially in an early mid-push, now that you finally have the money to use, on these players. And it's just not going so far, and they're just kind of meeting each other, side by side.
And they have no choice but to fight mid here. That's where the spike is. And because of that, they're forced in a rushed fight where Yex has only 10 HP to work off of. And they're just forced themselves there in a really tough situation. And you hate to see them lose that round after having the gun advantage.
And like you said, this was a tough situation. And don't get me wrong, our players can play, they can win their 1v1s, they can hit their shots, they can, play out their plays, but it's just an odd and uncomfortable situation to be in, especially knowing that you finally bought and lost your guns, and now we're just set back, like you said, into a snowball effect. We're just back to saving, and this time I'm kind of seeing what Jinho is trying to go for with that Bucky, and with how fast he's going with Waylay, I'm hoping he can at least get a few picks with that Bucky. Unfortunately, Sin getting lost in that, lost in the sauce, it's just not looking so hot so far.
Oh, but the Terps do definitely avenge him. Although they do have the gun disadvantage, they have still got to make this work here if they want to win map number 1. So they found themselves here on A side, bought them enough space, I think, to be able to get that bomb down comfortably. But it looks like Jinho maybe was going to be aggressive there with the Bucky, doing some absolutely devious plays there. Even if he is sitting below rope, that could still end up being super, super deadly. Actually creeps up, tries to sneak past the Sova drone. He is just being an absolute menace, while the rest of his team still trying to fight off this retake from happening. Trade comes through for both sides. Jinho finally gets value off of that Bucky, make that almost a 2-piece, but gets that Yoru down to narrowly 0 HP. It's off to ZK1, who picks up the Bucky and is dancing around with I think that would end up being a sheriff in the end. Oh my.
ZK1, an absolute demon. I honestly have no words. Let's take another look at that. Jinho dancing around, loses his Bucky as ZK1 picks it up and is just spamming it. Oh my goodness. And it wouldn't be without Jinho just harassing him there on rope with that Bucky. He was not giving that up for his team, and he was able to take off a significant amount of damage. And if you could only imagine he didn't choose that Bucky that time and they were still full HP, would we have won that round? You never know.
That Bucky was like the MVP of that round. It lived on to see the end of that round, which is hilarious. But a round win is a round win. Here the Terps are trying to do something very similar. Jinho's being really aggressive. It pays off perfectly there. Meanwhile, Yex getting picked off onto site. The Terps having a really hard time here being comfortable. They're getting a lot of aggression here from Michigan State, especially with that Vice ultimate used. Ooh, I really like ZK1's positioning. He might be able to catch a Sova off guard, and that's exactly what he does as he finds a 3-piece off of his really sneaky positioning. Oh my goodness, what an insane run for ZK1 of these last 2 rounds.
And he's really cheeky with it. Notice how he's like so locked in and he knows that he's gonna hit his shots. That's the kind of confidence you will see from our Terps. And as a team, they're just working flawlessly. Look at this. He thought that he was gonna, catch this Sova, and he does so and gets the Omen at the same time, giving us another round where our scoreline is looking great so far and our economy is slowly following along, as well as Michigan has to end up using light shields and kind of has a hero vandal from that jet, but how far can that really take them, especially on defense?
It's all about the weapon advantage here in these next couple of rounds, as the Terps know that they try and overwhelm this Vice on the B side, as Jinho's the one to finally get that pick after that small fight there, as Yex has the intuition to spray through that smoke. But Terps got to be aware of flank. Moose is catching wind of that right about now, but is he going to be aware of this jet creeping up? It's ZK1 actually who's there to help his teammate out and dwindle the numbers of Michigan State enough to make this nearly unwinnable here for Michigan State.
And we got so far into the round in just maybe under 30 or 45 seconds, and we were just left with the spike planted and just one Spartan left, and we executed it perfectly. Scoreline yet again being 10-8. We are doing so amazing. Jinho being 18-9 right now, and he's been very aggressive with his entries and his plays, and Yex slowly following behind. It works. They work well together as duelists, and it's giving their team a lot of advantage and is setting up the rest of the round for the rest of their team, and it's amazing. And with Yex about to pull out this ult, I'm excited to see how this is gonna go.
Yeah, immediately that your ult gets used, he's trying to get as much as information as he can. And it's going to be used in tandem with Sin's ultimate to net Jinho 2 kills. What a quick round. What a chaotic round already for the Terps. 2 ultimates invested off rip, and it pays off beautifully for them. They have full control of this site. There's 2 Michigan State defenders waiting to somehow get on site and defuse this bomb. Terps gonna do everything in their power to not let that happen. Jinho once again being an absolute menace on that rope, and he knows both of those players are right there on the other side of that wall and about to get a peek his way. This time, though, he's not quite able to get that pick, and now somewhat of a scary position for UMD. They're forced to dodge around a couple ultimates there. Yex still trying to get that pick. There's a player full blinded, but watch out for the bomb. It's being defused. Yex, oh, he's lucky that that Vice got off of it, but the round is still going on. Sin's going to have to buy time, but oh my goodness, Michigan State able to clutch that round. That is a tough round loss for the Terps. Oh my goodness, you would have thought they had that round completely sealed away.
I will say, Jinho's reposition was very smart. They're gonna expect him hanging up and down from that zip line, trying to get them from heaven, and this time he had a phantom, and it just, I don't know, it wasn't doing as much damage as he thought it was, and they sniffed him out. They knew he was gonna reposition, and I honestly thought, even if they ended up diffusing the spike at half, I thought they wouldn't have gotten it, but don't underestimate how fast it is when you finally get the second half of that spike down.
For sure, if that Vice did not pull the half, there's no way they would have been able to defuse it in time. Jinho, though, still trying to be a menace into this round, is using his Waylay utility beautifully to net him a pick in the early stages of this round, as his fellow teammates here haven't really committed to his site. They're still kind of pushed up into mid mostly. Sin and ZK1 trying to work together here on the outskirts of this B site to try and get a pick or two. They get one to go in their favor, but they have not really focused their efforts onto site. So they're going to use ZK1's ultimate, and it's just a bad timing there for the Terps, as they still have yet to fully be confident here on B.
And I don't think they know that, you know, Michigan is already positioned here, and it's not a good look for the Terps. They have to figure out what to do next, because now it's just a waiting game. Everybody's waiting for one another to peek, and it's just no guns are being shot. It's just straight utility now.
Speaking of utility, the Vice wall dissipates, and on the other side of it are players waiting for a duel. What a shot there to catch Moose. But the Terps, meanwhile, have found enough time and space here to get this bomb down. Your ultimate used for Michigan State, it's actually going to be Sin who's the one to catch the early sight on where that Yoru ultimate is positioned. And they come out of that Yoru ultimate and they kill both of our Terps. Oh my goodness, this Yoru is insane for Michigan State.
I will say, what a play from that Yoru, but the headshot glitch, the little pixels, he shot at their foreheads, and the rest of our Terps just went down. Just went down, and I will say, what a play. It you know, I gotta give it to him, but honestly, we do have a timeout starting. We will be cutting to our coaches cam where we have Coach Arjun, you know, leading the way for our Terps here on our co-ed premier team. And here, I'm glad we kind of called one. I think, you know, even though we had a good few rounds, it's starting to dwindle down to where we're starting to get even yet again. We always catch up, but we never get too ahead, if that makes sense.
For sure. And we've won our rounds. Like, we've made this game very winnable. I think the reason why this timeout is called when it is the fact that we've lost a couple of pretty winnable rounds in a row. Rounds that in the mid stages of it, you say, okay, UMB's got this, no problem. They just have to play time here. And they lose. So I think it's those rounds in particular that we've had a couple of by now that the Terps are really sitting back and looking at in this timeout and saying, okay, how do we stop that from happening in these next couple of crucial rounds before we can close out this map potentially?
Exactly, and at a scoreline like this, you really need to figure it out. I mean, Jinho being at the top of the leaderboard, 22 kills already. He's just doing it for the Terps, and so is Yexus, so is Sin, so is EK1, and so is Moose. All the team has to do is just lock it in and play it safe.
Oh wow, no one is playing it safe there on that A site, and the Terps are going to learn a lesson the hard way as they lose two of their players. Jinho may be able to be a silver lining here in all of that initial chaos. Terps really do want to win this round on the other side of that timeout, as Bomb is going to be able to come down in an early close contact fight being taken, and somehow trade being able to be managed there. But that in alone is not going to be enough to guarantee the Terps a round win here. They really got to play this retake as wisely as possible, and they're trying to swing and take that early fight. Got the Jet down to 3 HP, although it's just CK1 right now. He's gonna have to play time, gonna have to be patient. And oh my goodness, you can see the frustration on ZK1's face. It's just these small things in the late stages of the round that are not going our way.
Yeah, and I think it's just a trend in just Valorant in general. As you start to move up the scoreline and start to get towards the end of the game, and now that it's neck and neck, it's a lot of pressure. So you're on your toes all the time, and sometimes you mess up under pressure, and that's okay, but we just simply do not have the space for stuff like that. And I honestly spoke too soon. The Terps were just at it, and Michigan had the same thought. They're gonna run it down, and every time that they have this Sova dart, the Terps are distracted and they want to break it, but you know, they have to break it while the rest of Michigan is running down on them. And it looks like this time they might have the same idea. I don't know.
Waylay ultimate used for Jinho. He's trying to net a kill off of it. Finally does so. There's still a lot of defenders here on this B site that he's trying to fight off for the rest of his team. Meanwhile, the rest of his team dropping like flies as they're trying to get onto this B site. Finally, though, they're able to take a breath here, although they're not expecting that Omen to be holding that angle. Jinho does finally get the pick on that Omen. Moose keeping an eye out for the flank in the meantime, but the Stone was actually positioned up into heaven. And wow, what a map for Jinho. I believe he's top fragging in the whole lobby right now. And that Waylay pick as a flex player had to be so unexpected for Michigan State.
And I think he just knows what he's doing. Like, Jinho knows that he's confident to play these characters, and he knew that this is what would help the team, you know, take Abyss a little farther. And honestly, he did so well that round. He basically stayed in the same area the whole round. Even while his teammates were just dying in front of him, he was still on site and he was still holding it down. And Michigan didn't expect that. They knew he was there, but didn't quite know where.
Oh, that was almost a really nice kill for Jinho. He was a little late to pull his gun out and will pay the price for it. Meanwhile, Moose into mid's going to spot two of these defenders. They're able to get an early pick for his team while the rest of the site execute comes into fruition on A. And that was a very cleanly executed early site take here for UMD. But we've seen them lose rounds like these before, particularly on this A site. So is this round going to be the difference maker to push them at map point? We are going to have to see how this retake unfolds as Yex watching that CT angles, waiting for that swing to come through. ZK1 pays for holding that angle, so does Yex, and the rest of the squad, for the most part, hanging out into A main. And that may be the play call here, as the A main player is the only one left alive. Moose, Vandal in hand, Spike left to keep taking sprays to the smoke, gets the first pick. It's down to 1v1, and he doesn't even have to play time there. Moose clutches up for his team with a 4-piece to push us at map point.
What a beautiful, beautiful 4K from Moose there. Take a look at this replay. He is just too clean with it. He was playing it smart. He knew that that Vise had to have been low and just finishes it off, taking away that Yoru. And mind you, that Yoru is what is the catalyst to Michigan. They are relying on that Yoru. Let's look at the KD. They're 21 and 16 right now, and even with that Yoru, it took Michigan very far that round. Michigan was just following this Yoru after seeing, you know, who was left on that site, and it was just working in their favor. But thankfully, Moose able to finish it off for us.
Huge round win, but it means almost nothing if they can't get this next round. Knowing that the Terps trying to make this B site work, throwing some Yoru utility there, but the B site is really heavily defended. So they're backing off a little bit, rethinking really thoroughly where they want to go. This is such an important round.
We just need one more round for the Terps to take this home, take the map Abyss home, and it's quiet. It's a waiting game. As it always is, and the Terps have been doing that on and off for this whole map. They're just waiting for one another to make a move, especially down mid here.
Oh, into mid. Moose narrowly caught a player there, actually broke the door and is repositioned at that angle as the rest of the team tries to make this A site work out for them as they lose their initiator in the process. Meanwhile, ZK1EX trying to take some space here. Moose up into heaven, and now the Terps struggling to get a hold of this A site, and we are headed into overtime right off the bat here on map number 1.
I'm surprised we're not getting another timeout here, especially on the Terps side. I could say Michigan could use one themselves, but honestly, once you get to OT, it's just back and forth. You really have to make sure you master both attack and defender side back to back, and that's just how it is. And with Valorant OT, it's just on and on and on. It's hard to kind of go up for it, and a little bit of an observer's aerial view here. I like where this is going. We're spinning around, getting to see the beauty of Abyss here, but it's just one of those things where the Terps really have to think about how they've been playing and just kind of try something new maybe. I don't know, change it up just a bit.
Every round from here on out is going to be crucial for both sides of the map here. Terps going to be starting this OT off on the defensive side, which was an okay half for them. I think they looked a little bit cleaner there on the attack, but they've got to hold off Michigan State here, and they've managed to do so early on with just a little bit of utility being thrown. They've managed to hold Michigan State into their own spawn, so far so good for the Terps.
Yeah, and they're kind of splitting a little bit as we don't really have much happening down mid, and that's what the Terps has been doing. And again, waiting game. Everybody is waiting for something to happen, and again, no bullets during this time, but more so utility, because Michigan has to be very, very cautious with how they're going to approach this site, especially with two of these Terps on there.
And I really liked where Yex was positioned, and that's something he hasn't done in the rounds prior, and it paid off this time. Moose Yex holding down this B site for the life of them as Jinho pulls in with the reinforcements to only dwindle Michigan State's numbers down to 1. And it's a beautiful defensive round there in a half that UMD kind of struggled on the defense, but it's in overtime when it all really counts.
Yeah, and honestly, they performed much better. Like you said, the defense side was not our best bet, but it worked out all in our favor. Looking at these buys already on the defense side, Michigan, Yoru, and this op just don't separate. And I don't think I've seen similar plays, you know, to Jinho when he had an op, or even when Yex had an op. I don't know. I don't think I've got to see, you know, an op crutch happen just yet, especially from Michigan's side. But nonetheless, we are now on the attacking side for the Terps, and like you said, this is our better side, and it's quiet, and we want to make sure that we're as cautious but as fast and efficient at the same time, while grabbing all of this information as it's just a waiting game.
Oh, and now they're aware of that operator there on that A site. Are they going to continue to push it? The answer is yes, as Jinho tries to get right in that op's face, backs away with that waylay utility, and waits for Yex to do a more quiet but potentially deadly push up, and that's exactly what it will end up being. Terps, I really like what they're able to do on this A site. I'm really happy that they decided to choose A for this must-win overtime round. Can they keep this bomb ticking as long as they possibly can here to win map number 1? Michigan State is going to have to pull off a stellar retake here as ZK1 and Moose both able to get a pick CT. ZK1 pushes up, and it will be Moose, though, to get the closing pick of map number 1. And what an important win for UMD to set them up on the right foot throughout this whole series.
And what a beautiful match that was. Although we were just a little slow at the beginning, we ended up taking it even farther with just our plays. You know, Jinho being amazing with a Bucky and a Shorty and with an operator. You know, Yex is doing as much as he can as a duelist, and with ZK1 just being amazing IGL and just setting it up for his team. Everybody did amazing for this map, Abyss.
Well, make sure you guys tune in for map number 2 to see if the Terps can close it out in 2. We'll catch you on the other side of this commercial break.
My name is Subin Kim, my in-game name is Carrots, and I'm the controller of this team.
My name is Hannah, my IGN is Tuxedo Sam, and I play Sentinel for the team.
My name is Sima, my in-game name is Care Bear, and I'm a flex.
My name is Megan, my IGN is Giraffe, and I'm an initiator.
My name is Sophia, my IGN is Soap, and I'm an initiator.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayush, my in-game name is Dulcexo, and I'm the coach.
For me, I think it was just really interesting to see like our names on like social media and like on a website. I'm just like, whoa, my name is on a website but so I think that was like the number one thing that kind of like just it brought the realization of like what kind of team I'm in, like what kind of position I'm in.
Meeting them. It's like hard to make a woman and non-binary friends in Valorant, so it's just really nice that we have like a team specifically for that.
The studio.
Yeah.
Oh, the studio.
The
Oh,
studio.
I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that existed until like remember like when we first talked about the studio, I was like, what's that? When I first went to the room, I was like, oh, there's cameras and lighting. I'm just like, that's
Nice computer.
Nice computer.
The monitors
So
are crazy.
true.
Winning.
Yeah.
Oh, so true. W winning.
getting that.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I feel
that
like
was pretty cool.
hey. I would say supportive is definitely like Dusty and Rachel. Those two, just like making sure we had scrims down, making sure we had practice schedules down, like Dusty making sure like to pick out what we did wrong, just like, you know, helping us improve. I think definitely.
Yeah, Dusty's a very present coach. So
Very.
It's like he's really reliable and helped us through the whole season.
Thanks, team.
Yeah, you'd even like schedule things for us,
like organize all those schedules.
help us map bands and like talk to
Stats,
them
yeah.
if like realize if one of them was like unranked or something. Breaking a
Forfeit
rule,
teams.
making teams forfeit.
Maybe we don't talk about that last part.
I would also say like our fans in chat, like on
Oh,
stream.
true.
So it was nice knowing
W
people
chat.
watching us.
And the haters.
Oh yeah.
Improve in the higher division.
Yeah, it is definitely more challenging because we're in a higher division now. But I think we could, like, with our coordination, I definitely think we could. We need to bring home another one of these.
It feels great.
Yeah.
You guys know this is the first title that Terps Esports has won.
Wait, seriously?
And by women.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously? Oh,
First time.
cool.
I like playing Valorant.
Have an excuse to play games.
That's true. That's good.
For me, I joined because, well, like I've always wanted to be on a women's team, especially like since I got to UMD, and me and Dusty had always like tried to make teams work every semester, and this was the first time it actually did work and stuck, and the people who tried out like were committed. So I guess I've always just wanted to be on a women's team to like connect more to that community.
To make friends.
So I had that gap, you know, without a team for a while, and then I saw the form, and I was like, I really want to try this. This sounds fun. And then, yeah, I play Valorant too much. I mean, first of all, I did not imagine me being IGL when I first started, because I am, outside of my Lilac team, I am known as the no-brain, only aim chamber in comp. So I did not imagine myself being IGL. But like, I think it's like, there were some difficulties in the beginning because I wasn't used to giving out comms. I was just very confused. But I think now it's just like the amount of trust that my teammates give me when I give out comms and the amount of like coordination that we have. Like, I just love being like IGLing because I trust that things will work out.
They actually think they can plant the spike.
Nobody escaped me, but they tried.
Who edited this? Alright, you go. Oh, hell no!
The day is not our day to die.
You know, Sid could literally like. No, it's okay, this is fire.
I'll fight anybody.
We should do a solo costume.
What happens next?
Huh? Hey Becky. This is so awesome!
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are about to head onto... Hey everybody, welcome back. We are about to... Hey everybody, welcome back. We are about to head on to map number 2, which will be Haven, I believe.
Yeah, and I don't quite remember seeing how Premier Team performed on Haven, but from what I've been seeing today, Abyss was just amazing. I feel like if you can handle Abyss, you can most definitely handle Haven, and I'm expecting a lot of ops. I'm expecting ops from Jino, of course. Maybe not Waylay. Again, I want to see him play his comfort character. I want to see him play Chamber. I want to see, I don't know, I want to see a raise from Yexus this time. And, with Haven being such a big map and jumping, hopping, satcheling all around the map is going to help the Terps out a lot. But even still, this team comp that we have going on is just going to be so amazing for the next few rounds, or for these next few maps. And I hope that we're able to take this map home and call it 2-0 for the night.
Yeah, 2-0 would be really nice. Particularly, I think it would be nice for the team after last week having to fight so hard there to make it a best of 3. And I think into map number 3 against OSU last week, the Terps actually took the Buckeyes into overtime. And it was a long stream, and I think it would be really good for the Terps to just have a win under their belts here. And Michigan State, I believe, actually beat OSU as well. So hopefully this is a good indication if we're actually able to beat Michigan State here in 2. I think we should feel pretty confident about how we're continuing into the BEC, which is so exciting because the BEC typically ends in a LAN in around the springtime. And I know that the Terps missed out on that LAN last year, at least Valorant did, and they are really hoping here to get to a LAN as a team and compete to potentially even win a championship.
And that would be so amazing to see. And I know previously that you've traveled to a LAN, right, Lily?
Yes, 2 years ago now. I went to OSU for the very first Big Ten LAN. So much fun. And I really hope that the new faces on this roster get a chance to experience that as a team. So there's a lot on the line here, actually, if you think about it, because these players are competing for that experience of traveling together, competing together in person against your opponents. It's really like an experience like no other. So a lot on the line here every single week in the BEC.
Exactly. And it's just a new environment. And to be in a LAN is just a whole new experience. And it would just be such a nice thing to see. And these Terps have worked so hard so far. And, let's not speak too ahead of ourselves. I will say we had a little bit of a rough start on Abyss, especially with our pistol rounds. That's what I've been noticing a lot for our Premier Terps, is that we kind of just fall back a little bit on our pistol rounds, and it costs us about 2 or 3 rounds. But it's kind of hard to get back up when you start getting rounds later on in the match, because then that just means your enemy is just up by 5 rounds or 4 rounds already, and that's not a good way to start off your match. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can have a 9-3 curse, you can you can work your way back up, but it would just be a more solid foundation for the Terps if we just got it right off the bat.
And the Terps looking to do just that on the pistol round here onto Haven. They're starting this one off on the defensive side of things. Wow, look at this positioning here from Moose. He's about to catch this Omen there, and he does lose that fight. So does Jinho up into Garage, and this is not the start that the Terps wanted at all on the pistol round, especially when you talk about winning that pistol and buying up next round, expecting to win round number 2. The pistol becomes increasingly more important. But the round is not over till it's over here. The Terps still have a retake that could potentially go their favor, but they're going to have to really make something out of nothing here. Maybe Yex, with that Sheriff in hand, will be the answer there, but he has to work around a smoke, and he's just walking through it. He's forced to peek out of it. Actually, a Sind dies. Yex able to get a pick. It doesn't look like it's going to be nearly enough, though, to put the Terps anywhere close at winning this round. And yet again, we see the Terps lose a 3rd pistol in a row.
I will say I'm not as worried, only because I do see a pretty good setup for what we have for our agents. I mean, we do have Jino on KJ, and we have Moose on Viper, and I know we have double smokes. ZK1 is Omen, and that's, considering the fact that we started on defense, it is a little better, I will say. We just throw down our smokes and throw down that Viper wall. But I don't know. I mean, even though it's a little bit of a comfort pick here, I think we'd be able to just work our way around it fast. I mean, we do have a little bit of a network problem, it looks like, and I'm assuming it might be from Michigan, or these servers might not be the best for them, but they're doing the same pick again. Yoru is sticking with that outlaw, as we've seen for numerous, save rounds from Abyss, and honestly, let's do something a little different this time. I mean, Yexus has a Marshall here, so
we have the glitch pop sovereign combination Marshall, and Yex loses that gun up into heaven. Meanwhile, looks like Michigan really has full reign here on this A site, and the Terps kind of nowhere near being able to hold them off. Spike planted, and it will be ZK1 who inherits the sovereign glitch pop Marshall there, as he's positioned it up into heaven, looking for a retake to come through. The rest of his team trying to quietly weasel their way through CT, cause a distraction, force those peaks to come through for ZK1 to capitalize off of. But time is of the essence here. Bomb starting to tick down beyond repair. ZK1 gets the swing he was looking for, not the result he wanted though. So the Terps looking like they're going to back off, save whatever guns they're kind of able to muster up there. And meanwhile, Michigan State's kind of taking some of those Vandals and running with them.
Yeah, being in a position like this, there isn't much to really do. I mean, Jinho dying with that sovereign glitch pop Marshall, kind of like a good luck charm for the Terps, I guess, not sure. But being in that position, it's really hard to do retake, especially on a, I mean, I saw what ZK1 was trying to do there, especially being on heaven with a Marshall. I had trust in him, but honestly, that Cypher kind of just took his head off there, and being in heaven, it's really frustrating because you're basically a little far from your team, and it's hard to execute and help them out while they're pushing in from CT, and it doesn't work in your favor. But even still, Terps finally get some guns this time, like we see every time on third round, so we should be able to see a bit more picks and a little more aggression here from the Terps.
And Sind being really diligent to shoot that enemy Sova dart before it sells out that he's pretty much like alone. Well, he has one other player with him, but there's not a whole ton of defense going on here on this A site. So really do like that denial of early information, but he's got to watch out right behind him. But no, ZK1 has got a hold of it. He doesn't have to worry about what's going on behind him when he has ZK1 on his side. And look at these two just really, really holding down here this A site. And they managed with those double smokes, like you said, coming in huge here. You can't even see where you're going here on this site. And that's exactly the type of play that the Terps needed to buy time for the rest of their team to catch up here and potentially kill these remaining two players and call it a round. But it's not over till it's over. Both of those A players getting picked off, down to a 3v2 here for the Terps. They still have two sets of smokes to work off of here. So it's going to be hard for Michigan State to weasel their way here back onto this A site, but certainly not impossible, especially when you have Moose lurking away, and it's basically a 2v2 here on site. So Michigan State inside the smoke. Jinho is going to catch that push on the other side of that smoke. And I really like that ZK1 is not taking this fight here, being patient, waiting for his teammate to show up to get that numbers advantage after the post plant. Good call here from the IGL. But he may end up having to take an earlier fight than he was planning, or he's going to have to be aware of this CT positioning. Doesn't look like either of the Terps know of that positioning quite yet. They're still trying to clear their way onto the site. Have a smoke for some extra insurance, but Moose able to get that early peek out of CT there. And a really solid round in the beginning that ended up looking a little scary. Still, Terps able to keep calm, cool, and collected faces and win.
I like them two together. ZK1 and Moose, both the smokes, just working hand in hand with one another, holding hands for that retake. Honestly, I mean, keep in mind, I like what you said. ZK1 playing it slow. He's also an Omen player, mind you, and he knows what this Omen's going to do. Obviously, you're going to smoke and you're going to stick that plant because, I mean, 10 seconds left on the clock, not more to do. And it was just a waiting game. It was smart. It was smooth. It was a smooth play, and even still, being patient is really what matters here. But this time, they're gonna change it up a little bit on Michigan's side here.
Oh my goodness, the Aries spam early for Sind is really going to make A-Site not look super attractive there for Michigan State. Instead, they were looking C-Long for a second. Actually, no, they're doubling back seemingly to this A-Site in the face of that Aries. And Sind has remained patient, but Michigan State is being really quiet, I think, to not trigger an Aries push. Now the footsteps start coming through. Some Sova utility used for Sind, but he's going to watch out for this jet that's dashed right in the face of ZK1. ZK1 handles it, though. Although he does get picked off, has done a lot of damage to the Sova, as Yex still trying to avenge some of his teammates there. Meanwhile, Terps have lost control of A-Site completely. They've managed to retake it before, but can they do it again successfully when Michigan State has these Vandals in hand, especially when you get caught with your knight out? It's going to be very difficult there to go against a Vandal. Still, Spike is ticking. Terps have got to make their way through CT here. Together, they're playing, but they will both end up dead with Michigan State pushing the scoreline at 3-1.
Unfortunate play for Jinho. You just didn't expect that. I mean, he came a little late to the rotate there and wasn't quite expecting that moment to already be TP'd up in their own heaven, by the way. Just not a fun sight to see, especially if you didn't get any action to begin with. But look at this economy. Terps are kind of back to square one yet again. Have to save Jinho with that shorty yet again. Let's see if he decides to commit to it. But again, not much to do other than, especially on a defense side with just minimal guns. You just have to see how Michigan plays this out and how they decide to attack and secure that site, because honestly, it's just the utility you're going to have to rely on.
Oh, Jinho with a shorty and a dream up into Garage and just gets caught with too many players up in once in his face there. And Michigan State has really firm control of Garage, and also A-Site's probably looking really good for them too, as they're managed to kill Sind there. ZK1 trying to be really sneaky in this smoke and catch player off guard, and what a play for ZK1. It's unfortunate he ends up dying. Frustration once again on ZK1's face, and the Terps have really not been able to get a firm grasp of this A-Site. They've given it up multiple rounds in a row. Will the result potentially be different this time? We're gonna have to see how this retake comes through. Doesn't look good, though, with Moose getting killed and Yex only having a sheriff in hand. This A-Site has been such a problem for UMD.
You would think they'd start to stack A-Site just a little more, especially these past few rounds, as they keep losing the retake on A. And it's just difficult, especially with this economy that they're working on. I mean, Yex is able to get that shot, but at what cost when we end up losing the round anyways? I mean, it should be fine now, considering now that we have money to buy and to spend, but let's kind of, let's add more to our defense. Like, let's patent down the hatches. Like, let's add more. We need more, because the fact that they're kind of being able to rotate and just grab a site after failing to push, or kind of changing their mind, they're doing it too fast, and we're just losing the Terps too early in the round, and it's leaving awkward situations for them to try and get over and try to win. So, I mean, with Michigan starting to favor more towards C this time, it should be a different story, especially as Moose is the one holding it down here.
And I do really want to hope here that the Terps have better luck on the C site. It's going to be very difficult with that Yoru ultimate. Yex does have an operator in hand and is looking to use it. Moose gets the early round pick with a Phantom thanks to that ZK1 smoke, and that is enough. That'll do it to hold off Michigan State. But now they have no choice but to confront this A-Site that's caused them so many problems. This time, hopefully, they're going to flip the script, getting that early pick there. Moose not able to pull off a successful lurk in the meantime. Yex using that Yoru ultimate. Still has an operator in hand, but just trying to get as much information for his team as possible is the point of this ultimate. Realizes there's two on site. Doesn't know where the third one is at the moment. Gonna use that Yoru utility to try and get a pick, and an operator shot will do the trick for him. And it actually downs Spike in the process. Huge pick for the Terps here. They just have to get this site, keep control of the Spike, and they should win this round.
And Michigan knows that there's an op here, and especially since it's coming down from long, they have to be really wary about their flank. ZK1's about to meet this Cypher, and our CT should be just fine. All the Terps have to do is just sit and watch this Spike.
Oh, narrowly missed there for Yex. Time is ticking down. He can play time here. He can just toy around with the planter, peek, force him to get off that bomb. But the plant does come through, so they're forced to take this fight down to a 1v1. ZK1 half HP has to keep this game going for UMD, and he does exactly that. But narrowly lost. Can you believe it? Narrowly lost when that round looked so good for them so early on.
ZK1's a very patient player. He knows how to wait. You know, talk about trigger discipline, basically. I mean, he doesn't panic, like, at all. Even, like, with that face cam, he wasn't panicking. Like, it wasn't showing in his face, and that's how it is. Valorant is a mind game, guys. You really have to make sure you don't let your mental ruin the way you're playing the game, and that's all this game is honestly really about, and it's a lot to take in, especially in a round like that. I wasn't expecting Yexus to lose his life. I was honestly expecting him to be able to take down that Sova, especially when he picked up that spike. But things happen. This game is not a guaranteed fun game to play. It's just skill and a lot of, you know, trying to figure out what you're gonna do. Jinho again with these shotguns.
Man, he has been an absolute menace with the shotguns. Has had some difficulty in Garage, dying early on. This time, it's a different story, although he's only holding on to just a couple of HP there. Yex with the Operator, still trying to hold off any push into sewers here. Going to use that Yoru utility to try and maybe reposition now that Michigan knows exactly where he is. He's going to call in Sind for the reinforcements there. Terps being really aggressive here outside of sewers. Yex finally able to connect that shot, but he will get picked off. Meanwhile, it's a main push coming through. Sind able to get the kill there to hopefully buy off enough time for the rest of his teammates to respond. The job's not done though, as he's able to down Spike. Finally, only one Michigan State attacker alive, able to grab the Spike. Moose is going to swing and make first contact though, knows exactly where he is and does finish the job there, and UMD's crawling right back in this thing.
I'm starting to notice Michigan's getting a little more antsy. I mean, look at the way that they were trying to push in Garage. They tried to do what they did the last 2 rounds onto Jinho. They know he was going to be vulnerable, but I mean, he decided to pick up that Judge this time and said enough is enough. I mean, amazing team comms with one another, being able to call in for backup. Yex is there, especially in sewers. It was a really awkward angle, and honestly, no way for him to reposition without him getting gunned down, especially from that angle on the attacker side. Looking down into sewers is not fun for anybody. So we'll see how this goes here as they're trying to do something new on Michigan's side.
Oh, Yex just completely caught off guard with that B push for the first time this map. We're seeing some action here on this B site. Look at ZK1 just charging onto this site, taking names, finding those picks, and he has bought almost complete control of this site. Jinho is just trying to buy enough time for Moose to pull off that defuse as ZK1 is up to 3 this round, and the B push was not successful for Michigan State, and they should be able to pick up Yex's Operator in the end, so he should be feeling better about that.
RIP Yexus, what the heck happened? Honestly, I also blinked and he just got sauce. Like, what? I mean, honestly, when you op and you're just ADSing the whole time, you kind of get cross-eyed. You know, you're staring at your crosshair. You're kind of just like waiting to flinch and kind of flick to see if somebody walks into your crosshair, but unfortunately it just did not work in Yex's favor. But even still, we're still doing an amazing job anyways. Our scoreline is very even at the moment, so now Michigan knows not to try and push B again.
All right, some really early aggression here on to C Long as Moose was able to get that opening pick, but the Yoru ultimate is in store here for Michigan, and the Terps also have to dance around this Sova ultimate. Moose somehow managed to evade complete destruction by that Yoru, but not for long. Oh my goodness, this Yoru is having an insane series. And suddenly this looks a lot more winnable for Michigan State. ZK1 caught early with that Yoru clone there. Yex holding on to his trusted operator here, even on the retake here onto C-Site, meets up with his teammate ZK1 for the presumed CT push that's going to be going on here for Michigan State. Yex gets a collat, uses that Yoru ultimate to get right in the face of that Omen, and it's a shorty. Not going to do the trick, but Sind and his Bulldog will. Oh my goodness, some absolute foolery. Foolery is the only way I can describe it here.
Literally, Yex is so tired of Michigan's Yoru that he really just had to ult and just be in his face the whole. Did we see that face cam? He was kind of just whispering and hoping that he wouldn't move anywhere else from, any further into CT. He's holding on to that op like there's no tomorrow. Let's get a little bit of a replay there. Yex is able to get 2, again, like you said, with a collat there, and it was just beautiful. Like, look, he was able to get 3 picks that round, and honestly, I will applaud that Yoru on Michigan's side doing a little bit of a spray transfer that early into the round. Ulting there, sitting on backside, and just took heads off of our Terps was pretty nice to see, and honestly, a round of applause for him, I will say.
Now the Terps have found themselves on top for the first time here onto Haven, and look at their ultimate economy. They certainly have that to use if they so need it, but when do you really need it if you have Yex on your team there who's just hitting all of his operator shots? Meanwhile, it's a push through Garage for Michigan State. This time Jinho backed up, did a lot of damage with his kit there, enough for ZK1 to just come in and finish the job quite easily. And it's a really strong start here for the Terps. They've managed to just hold Michigan State to Garage. They gave up Garage, but no more than that, and that was the difference here.
But it's a little, alarming that, he was able to give up Garage so fast. I mean, B is just so open now. I mean, so much is happening that now they finally have B yet again.
And Yex got that operator shot, still has the operator in hand. Jinho's gonna use that KJ lockdown to kind of force them right into Yex's hands, and he does end up getting picked off. Meanwhile, he was able to detain one using the KJ lockdown. Are the Terps going to be able to connect that pick? Moose trying to do half the bomb. It's actually sticking it looks like, and that's going to do the trick. For the Terps, he sticks the bomb, and that's enough. Even though he died, all the Terps died, they're still the ones who come away with the round win.
Real gamers stick, guys. Honestly, it's so hard to say if they will. I mean, last game we had a half, and, it diffuses much faster if you're, picking it up from the first half of diffusing it. But honestly, not with Moose. He just held it down and called it a day. Yex is still holding on to this operator. He will not let it go. And I find it amazing that his teammates are able, that he's able to buy it again and his teammates are able to pick it back up for him. But we're going to do the same thing. And yet again, from A-Site and, Garage as well, we kind of just sit and stay comfortable with what we're defending so far. And we just work around it based on how Michigan's going to decide to go about it.
Mid-fights being taken here up into Garage, very reminiscent of the previous round, but last round they didn't give up any control onto the C-Site. They do have Moose's Viper Pit though, and Jinho there to defend the Garage. Jinho though did get caught on that small interaction there, although Yex, like you said, operator and him are buddies. They go hand in hand, and he certainly is making use of it as the top frag here for the Terps so far. And these two Michigan attackers still have bomb control, and they're deciding what to do with it, and they walk right up into Sin's face there using that Cypher ultimate to completely sell out the location of the remaining two Terps. It's a 2v2 retake.
I wasn't expecting them to bring bombs so far up into the map and, so far enough that they were basically in our spawn already and they went in through the other side of A. Like, who does that? That's how you know that they were able to clear out sites so fast that they were able to just make it from the other side.
Yex trying to be really sneaky. Hopefully doesn't get caught with his knife out. Fakes the push up into heaven. And Michigan State's being really passive, and Moose is the one who's going to have to swing first and finds the pick. Although Yex gets picked off, it's up to Moose. And he stays collected there, finds the two remaining kills, has enough time to defuse that bomb, and increases this lead for UMD.
And it's looking amazing for them. Again, like you said, this is the farthest we've gotten on the score line. And this is a round before switch. So hopefully we're able to get, an 8-4 as attackers, and that would honestly be easy for us as Terps. I mean, we are so amazing on our attack side, and honestly, I'm so excited to see how that would end up, especially on a map like Haven. I mean, we have great utility, we have double smokes, and we have somebody who's amazing at opping. Hello, Yexis, never letting go of that op, but he's deciding to switch it up this time. But even still, I think we deserve a break from defense and just end it on a good half, on a good note.
Michigan State automatically just trying to push ZK1 off of his angle there, and it works. He backs up behind the safety of his own smoke, has to deal with the Yoru TP, and flicks in the nick of time there. TP's back to safety to take this next fight with the Jet. Gets the pick on that Jet as well. ZK1 having a really good time here defending this A site, although his reign will come to an end with Sind and Jinho trying to pick up the slack. And Yex, in the end, is the one to close it out for the Terps. Wow, that was a quick round there, and the Terps are in a really good position to win this in 2, potentially being up 8-4.
They were tired of being on defense side. Look at how amazing the Terps look right now. So many smiles across the board. We are going to thank Coach Arjun for having our Terps lock in. I mean, look at him go, just doing the work for us. He's just such a great mentor for these Terps and just does it all for us.
He looks very collected.
It's giving proud dad.
Yeah. it is giving proud dad, and he has lots to be proud about. You know, the Terps are doing really, really well this map, and you know, it was kind of more back and forth on Abyss, but it seems like this round they have quite a bit of a lead here, and typically this map tends to be thought of as attack sided because there are 3 maps. There's kind of just more ground to cover there on the defense, so this is looking good if you're a Terps fan, but they've got to figure out how to work around this Cypher setup on the C side. Yex nullifies all that Cypher utility with one single pick. ZK1, the whole 9 goes right there for UMD, but they've got to watch out for this early retake here into CT that catches both Yex and ZK1 off guard. So the round certainly still up for grabs for both sides. But look at Jinho's positioning. I really like it if he's able to work out that timing. Meanwhile, a lot of utility being thrown onto site. All these players are right on the other side of that box playing ring around the Rosie spike, still ticking down, but Michigan is on the defuse and they're staying that way. Sova hops off after getting a half. They're going to have to kill both Jinho and Moose. So it's a bit of a ring around a Rosie around this box. Once that smoke dissipates, a lot more ground is exposed, and Jinho will be the one to clutch up there for UMD. And finally, UMD has won a pistol. Oh my goodness. Hopefully these are all good signs.
Yeah, I mean, it's giving that they're tired of losing these pistol rounds. And honestly, it's so annoying to lose a pistol round, especially when you have so much potential like our Terps. I mean, we are so amazing with our 1v1s, and we're so amazing as a team, and just we're so smart with our plays. It's just really frustrating to see, you know, a pistol round, 2 to 3 rounds go to waste. And honestly, they executed that fast. They were very fast with it, but now we know that Michigan has their spikes, so I'm hoping the Terps are able to take away something from that.
And now looks like the Terps trying to be really stealthy. Wow, that was a lot for Sind and Moose. Wow, everyone having some really flashy picks here early off. Jinho too with the Outlaw. Everyone is doing their part. ZK1 is just spraying through that smoke. He knows someone is there, potentially going to pull off a right click. No, backs away from that fight. Meanwhile, Yex finds that pick with the Bulldog. The Terps look so dang confident right now. They look like they own the map, and they are playing like it with only one Spartan left alive that the Terps have to fight with a judge in hand. So a little bit of a scary fight they have going up right about now, as ZK1 will be the one to avenge his teammate Sind, but a round win is a round win, and what a great scoreline here.
I honestly forgot that we were attacking, guys. That play, I think that was ZK1's idea. It was a 1-2-3 peak kind of thing. Like, everybody was kind of in a conga line almost. And do you have any idea how scary it is to see that on Michigan's side, let alone down sewers? Like that, what a play. They rehearsed that. I just know it, and it worked in their favor. And it was just, I'd like to see that. They haven't been styling on them since Abyss, so I want to see this more on Haven now that we have such a lead.
And Sin comes out swinging. Early window peak pays off for him. And Moose with Deagle demoning there on to A-site. Oh my goodness, these Terps just look like a whole new team all of a sudden as the play call comes in to fast rotate towards C Long. And look at C, completely up for grabs. They've got to work around a Cypher trip or two, but aside from that, they should be able to get this bomb down no problem and set up a retake. And if it's anything like we've seen the last couple rounds, they should be smooth sailing here. But they've got to get bombed down. They've got to watch out for the Cypher on the other side of the cage as they're able to take care of that no problem. And meanwhile, they have Moose on the lurk, which I really like, especially considering this Omen's positioning. He's not going to have to worry about it, though. CK1 does that for him. Meanwhile, it's just one straggler left alive. Terps in full control here at 11-4.
I can tell they're having fun. They know they have this in the bag. Let's keep the confidence going. Let's keep the mental going, and let's not lose that, honestly. And it's with a map like Haven, like you said, you would think it's more attack-sided with how big it is, but honestly, it just depends how you play the map. And don't get played by the map, and the Terps are most definitely not letting that happen to them. They're executing their sites perfectly. Their economy looks amazing. Michigan not looking so hot with their economy. They kind of just have to use their scraps because 11-4 is a very far scoreline for them. And it's kind of, I think it's kind of ruining their mental almost. They don't really know how to execute, you know, defending.
Yeah, once you've kind of dug yourself in this hole, it's comes harder and harder to crawl out of it. So UMD, knowing that, trying to not give them any hope here, trying to nip this in the bud, finish this series in 2, go home as winners for the second week, almost third week if we're counting the forfeit in a row here in the BEC. So it's a quiet start to this round. Moose throws up that Viper screen to try and sell out potentially an A push. Meanwhile, there's 2 defenders right on the other side of that Viper's wall there. Once it dissipates, Moose caught wind of a couple of them at least. But he's being really patient. He's not giving up his life, and he's bought enough time for his team to just waltz their way onto B site. And Sin, ZK1 getting their opening picks here. Oh my goodness, UMD looking clean. Only gonna increase that look with Moose getting that pick, but oh no. Guardian takes down 2 of our Terps here, and suddenly Michigan has control of the B site and Spike, Jinho, and Moose both playing off site here. They are really going to have to use their weapons to their advantage, as we see with Jinho getting that outlaw pick. They just have to buy enough time here. And look, they have actually a lot of utility here for Moose to use. So I like how this round is looking, especially with Jinho and that outlaw in hand. He loves playing with these like unconventional guns.
Especially as a KJ. Would you ever have thought a KJ is holding like a shorty? Well, maybe a shorty, but not an outlaw. And that's the chamber coming out on Jinho's side. You know, if you can't play a comfort character, at least play like them. And honestly, this scoreboard, amazing. Yex is 17-12. ZK1 slowly falling behind, 15-10. We got 12-9, 12-14, and 10-10. We're pretty even. Like, the Terps are all double digits, and they're doing just amazing. And all they need to do, like I said, just win this round and take it home for Haven, this second map win. And just win us to victory, guys. Just lock it in.
Yeah, early trade actually, as Moose making a lot of ruckus on A and even up into mid. Meanwhile, the real push is going to be on the C site. 2 ultimates invested for the Terps. Sova ultimate, Yoru ultimate used. Sova ultimate actually netting a kill, doing a lot of damage too. We already got 2 of Michigan's defenders there, only down to half HP, enough for Moose to just come in and be the absolute hero here with a 2-piece off bat, only leaving 1 Michigan player left. It's GG's in the chat early for Michigan, it looks like. And that's exactly how it'll end up playing out here. And it's a clean 2-0 win for the Terps. Finally, they look like they're just playing an absolute style. What a series.
The Terps were able to take home both Abyss and Haven tonight, doing a phenomenal job, getting amazing plays, being an amazing team, helping one another, and just being amazing overall. A big thank you to Coach Arjun, just being able to take them through this victory, and a big thanks to these players just doing such an amazing job. Look at Coach Arjun. I'm sure he's already logging in the score line right now. And the Terps just did and performed absolutely amazing and phenomenal. And there was just so much to take away from tonight's games.
I want to thank you all so much for watching. We also want to thank our sponsors. We have to thank the Philip Merrill College of Journalism. We would also like to thank Playwire, and last but not least, Recwell, which Esports is housed under. So thank you so much for tuning into tonight's stream, and we will hopefully see you back next week.